AI?
Um, yeah. So I'm neurodivergent. I am autistic and I have ADHD, and there's a number of challenges that come with, I don't know, like basic stuff like understanding what an email says and structuring an email response. And so a lot of what I use it for is recontextualizing information. And I'm very curious. I have a very curious nature. And there's some parts of uh, the communication process that it doesn't come naturally to me. And so I pump it into ChatGPT, and I've gotten to the point where I'm programming custom GPTs, things that tasks that I have repeatedly. Like we've got a inclusive language bot where we can like put text in and check it against the ADA APA guidelines of inclusive language and have it give out recommendations on like how to fix it. So a lot of it is about have taking an idea somewhere where you are and then an idea of where you want to go and then adding those together and having it give you a starting point to start thinking about the next steps to get to your goal.
Right. So he uses it for clarity. I use it for efficiency. So I'm neurotypical. I move very, very, very fast, and I have to move very fast. So one of the things I use it for is creating efficiencies, streamlining, narrowing, helping me make decisions and prioritization, where I might be bringing some emotional thought to it. AI helps me sort through and say, here's really the list of what's real priority wise. So I use it for efficiency. And there was this really fantastic Wall Street Journal article. I think it was just a week last month, maybe. I'll look it up and see what date it was, where it talks about how we had this image of AI becoming this thing, this entity. And what AI really has become is a component of the things we already use. And so it's meeting those things where they are to make them better. And it's almost the same parallel, right? We're using AI to meet where we are to make things easier. For someone like Aaron, it might be clarity. For me, it might be efficiency and expediency. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm looking over here at my previous conversations. You had asked me to stop by the store and get a dry white wine for soup. And I've got a conversation with ChatGPT about a recommendation for white wine for soup. Anyway,
So
I have tons. I have like hundreds of thousands of these. They're just ridiculous.
I
Um,
love it.
all
So
right, so
yeah.
we're going to talk a little bit about how we used it to count images, count people.
Yeah, we have this. So we both also work for Elm Shakespeare. And we spend so much time focusing on text and language when we're talking about AI. But images, I know Joanna's worked with it recently, and other people are starting to explore. And I actually have really just started using images in a big way. And where this grew out of was we at Elm, we just closed our production of Richard III, and we count manually with a clicker every audience member who walks into the park, and that is insane to do. And we're like, is this accurate? So we started one night. I sent a text up to the stage manager in the tower, and I said, "Can you take a picture of the audience from way up here?" And then we loaded that into an AI and it counted our audience. So we started to have a check and balance between our count manually and what AI was telling us was showing up. And they were all but one night when it was just too dark, and the lighting was just too dark for the photo to work. We were pretty much in alignment. And so it was a great way for us to check our work and make sure that what we're presenting was real and sort of helping us eliminate some of that human error that shows up. But then I started using it for much more as far as images. Working on a campaign, and I was like, I need to write, and I have total writer's block because I'm exhausted, and we're all in that space. We're all working really hard, and I knew what I wanted to say, I knew where I wanted to go, but I just the words weren't coming. And so I picked out an image that I wanted to use, and I uploaded the image and said, what does this image say? What is this image? What messaging could grow out of this image that would align with our mission, right? And it started giving me ideas. I was like, oh, okay, cool. and then I could just go from there and write. So we're going to spend a little bit of time first creating some language content and then exploring how to put some images with it. So let's take a look. Erin, you want to talk a little bit about setting context when you're working? If you don't have it, we have trained chatbots. So I have a trained AI that's in my voice. We have a Shakespeare. We have the inclusive language. Like we have trained them so that they already speak in our voice and already do things like Erin said, we replicate them. But if you don't have that, how do you work around it, Erin?
Yeah, right. So if you don't have a whole chatbot dedicated to a specific topic, it's really, really beneficial to be able to tell it in detail where to start. Things like you are a marketing professional for a nonprofit and you are working on a campaign. These are the ideas that you have already. This is what a good example of the type of response you're expecting, and write out a lengthy paragraph, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 sentences of where you want the bot to start, as if you don't have to do a full like job description of what you're looking for, but you could use never heard of a trained chatbot. Sure. So I've got a couple here. Let's see, what's a good one?
Mission, vision, value.
Yeah, let me see. So ChatGPT has a whole set of custom GPTs. Um, there's a lot they're built for lots of different things. So it's sort of like a store, sort of like the App Store or Play Store. I've got my own. And then these are like the trending ones: an image generator, Scholar GPT, Consensus, Logo Creator. So they're all bots that are trained specifically for doing a particular purpose. There's a data analyst GPT.
Erin, could you describe the Shakespeare content creator one that is specifically for social media? So it for me it's grounded in you explain it. I'm sorry. You built it. You explain it.
Let's see which one's the content creator coach.
Yeah, yeah.
Sure. Okay. So I'm going to go into the edit section here. And so it's been a while since I looked at this one, so I'm going to have to reference it. So this looks pared down a little bit.
And
So
this is advanced stuff, by the way. What he's showing you right now is very advanced. And what we're talking about is getting around not having this. If you don't have this or someone to build it for you, this is what we do as a business. We build them for people. Erin, are the trained GPTs only available through the paid version?
oh,
What makes me unique?
I think that they opened it to everybody.
I think
Correct
so
me
too.
if I'm wrong. You should be able to get to it by going to chatgpt.com/GPTs. But here, I'll read this out loud.
What makes me unique is that I'm specifically designed to help create snappy, engaging content for YouTube and TikTok Shorts, with a special focus on making Shakespeare fun and relevant for Gen Z and millennials. Unlike a general ChatGPT, I've got that extra spice to break down the bard's brilliance in a way that's humorous, modern, and super concise, perfect for those short-form platforms. I can help brainstorm catchy video titles, optimize descriptions with SEO, and even suggest hashtags that'll boost your reach. Plus, I understand the importance of platform compliance, making sure your content hits the sweet spot without breaking any rules. Essentially, I'm here to make Shakespeare cool again. Think of me as your bard-toting hype coach.
So that's a custom built one. What we're doing right now is showing you how to get around not having your custom built one. So the context. Erin, could you show maybe write in an example of the context that we're talking about, how to build context? I've got it on that, on my notes. I've got my notes in there about what it is.
Sure. Is this the?
You are a marketing expert. I can type it. Hold on. Oh no, I can't. It's your screen. You found them. Great. Good. We thought the last update that they gave everyone access to those. So what you want to do is, like Aaron was saying, give them context, give Chat GPT context, right? So here's some notes from my notes, right? You can take that and put in your organization, right? Aaron's going to plug in ours. And then he'll go back and grab our mission, vision, values statement and put that in to make sure that whatever we're talking about is in alignment already. So we may not have a trained GPT, you may not have that, but you can set the scenario up by giving some context, grabbing your information and adding it. So take a look at that prompt that we put out there. You know, we're telling it what it's going to do. You're going to be creating a campaign for the end of the year. This is who we are. This is what we believe. So you're setting it up to give you answers that are grounded in that without having to have a custom GPT already made. Does that make sense to everybody? Just give me a thumbs up if so. Awesome. Great. So what I want you to do, you know, and that's great. You can look at the output on that and say, all right, cool. It kind of gives you some recommendations. It might ask you some things that you want to make sure you have. It'll give you some cool output just from setting the scenario up. And then I respond. I start having a conversation with it, right? It's a, hey, thanks. That's a great start to get me thinking. We're going to be building this to align with our spring campaign. Because I'm like, oh, wait, it's year end. I've already done some work here. So grab that last thing you mailed, grab your last appeal, grab your last newsletter and upload it. And say, I want this campaign to align with what I've already sent out and build on it and grow with it, grow that campaign, but echo it so that the whole season has a consistency to it. Your whole fiscal year has a consistency of messaging. And so you can upload your most recent appeal. Aaron will show you how to do it. He'll upload ours from Elm and watch it, and it will then customize the recommendations even more to align with what you've already done. So instead of having to start from scratch, it's building on it for you. And it's starting with the language you've already worked on and put your brain power into and approved. And you know that you're not going to be just replicating, echoing what was there, but rather building and growing on it. Did anybody get some good results from doing that, or some good ideas that they might have come up for their spring camp, for an end of year campaign? Were there any directions or recommendations that were given that you're like, oh my God, yes, I absolutely want to do that. This makes total sense. Anyone want to share? I know you're all reading. More time. Yeah, go back and absolutely spend more time. We're moving through it very quickly. But yes, we should go back and spend some time. But you see how it can expedite. You see how it can really create a shorthand for you. So if someone had asked in one of the questions beforehand, how does this help me operationally? How does this help me strategically? When I want to ask it next, I'm like, all right, cool. So I've got some outline, like a skeletal framework for what I want to do for year end. I've got it aligned with what I've already done, so I know where to move forward. And I'm like, okay, I need to present this and get it approved because some organizations require that approval if you've got multiple staff and a hierarchy, right, happening. Some you're solo, you can just run with it. But what if you need to present that to the board? So here's a quick thing, right? Organize this for a presentation to the board of directors. Enter that in and see what the output is. Ta-da! All of your content shows up and you now have your presentation. You can just jump over in Canva or into PowerPoint and build something lovely. And it gives you some recommendations on what to do, right? So now you've also really shortened the amount of time it's going to, and brain power that it's going to take for you to prepare this and bring it to your board. You don't have to cut and paste it word for word, right? You're going to nuance, you're going to make it nuanced, you're going to spend some time with it, really finessing it and making sure that it speaks the language your board speaks, that it really is in alignment, that they captured it. It isn't always right. That's something you need to know. This is not always right. It's a tool to help and support and expedite things, but it also is not always accurate. So you want to give the time to edit and read it. Just like Alicia said, I need more time. Yes, make sure you give the time to really fully read it through and figure out what's happening. So we said we were going to talk about images, right? What I want to do first is ask it this question, right? You've got a recommended strategy. You've got a presentation to bring it to your board. It's in alignment with what you've already done. You're going to present it to your board and get it approved to kick this thing out and really be successful and use what you have without overtaxing and creating too cumbersome a work plan for your team, because it's already been written from the get-go in context of your scenario and your environment and your resources and your capacity. So the next one is, well, what kind of images should I gather to execute this campaign through December 31st? What kind of images make sense with the content here, right? You can ask it that question and it'll give you recommendations.
Professional photos of actors in costume, focusing on iconic moments from performances. Audience reactions, people engaged, laughing, crying.
Right?
Probably can't hear me. Oh, could you hear me?
I can hear it.
Interesting. I'm sorry for stopping it.
So did anyone else get some good recommendations for what types of images? So then you can take these and go into your library and say, what do I have? Do I have images that fit this? Or you know what images you start to need to take moving forward. It also gives you some assignment.
I didn't ask for images, but at the end of one of the things it said, would you like help with specific materials or tools for any of these strategies? And then it went down with continuing more, like for each of the sections, like
Yeah.
the materials and tool examples of things that I could use. And then at the end of that one, it said, would you like templates for any of these or support in creating the specific materials? And then it just gave me a whole infographic template. It gave me social media graphic and messaging templates, donation appeal letter template.
Right? Isn't it wonderful?
Oh my God.
And so suddenly you have this library of a starting point, and you've minimized that. The hardest part of our work is getting started. And this allows us to get a little bit of a boost. It's our nitro, right? It's our little extra boost to get moving and then refine the recommendations that it's making and make sure that they align with us. But yeah, that's great. Thank you for sharing that. Anyone else have a good output from that you're like, oh yeah, that's great, cool. If not specifically the images, or did you follow the other? Because I love it when it asks me, would you like me to do this? I'm like, why, yes, thank you.
Like, of course.
Why,
Sure.
yes, please.
Go for it.
Yeah.
Alison, I have a question. So it has a wonderful $1 million suggestions for me. But so the first suggestion is to create a short professionally filmed video, right? So how do I tell it I don't have the money to create a
You just say that.
professional?
You can have a conversation. I've actually at some point gone, that's silly. I don't have the budget for that. And then I'm like, give me some other alternatives. Or is there an alternative filming? Like, just ask it the question. I talk to it as if I'm talking to a friend. Like, that's just silly. Or this isn't working. Let's try again, right? And I have a conversation and it responds. So it might give you some. Are there cheap video options? Is there an alternative to the video option? What might work for us? Yeah.
What kind of language could I use to ask my my network if anyone knows how to do this type of video? Just like use it to give you the things that get you closer to your goal.
Yeah.
Thanks.
And something I noticed is that in terms of the images, there was nothing really that was a big revelation or something that I hadn't considered previously. But I feel like what it did is it gave me marching orders. So maybe in the same way, it's like, okay, and then boom, let's just go instead of me sitting around and having to think of all these things, right? And I gave it a great place to start and just go, right?
Yeah. It removes that choice paralysis. If you know all the possibilities, this is something in a neurodivergent household we really navigate a lot. There are endless ideas and possibilities. How do you choose? So it can both build ideas and streamline your decision-making process in choosing those ideas and going, oh, okay. Sometimes if I get a ton of great ideas that might not be new, I'll ask it, can you prioritize which of these will have the biggest impact? And then it'll resort it for me and help me decide, maybe it won't. Yes, does that fit? And you can go from there. So yeah, and great.
Yeah, maybe my day is gonna start with just asking this, what should I do today?
Yeah. So Anne, one thing that's beneficial when you get results that you're like, this is kind of dumb. You copy paste those back to it and say these are not right.
Yeah.
And now you've given it more context about what to do in the future. So these are all wrong. These are too naive. You're using language that's not related to what I'm doing. I don't have the budget for this. Like telling it those things gives it what it needs to give you better results.
My most often conversation with my ChatGPT is, why are you so boring? Why are you so boring? Please give me something that is compelling and interesting and new and different. And then it starts to give me some new ideas, and I'll go, that's not exactly right, but it will spark a new idea in me. I don't want to be bored either, right? And it will sometimes give me boring stuff. I think it's probably the most often. Yeah, it does. Like my GPT likes to be boring.
The model itself is based on semantic analysis. What you write to it, if you're using happy words, happy tones, then it's going to think that what it did was good. If it did something bad and you reprimand it, it's using the intensity of what you have said, the way that you've said it, in order to kind of course correct. So don't feel bad. It's a chat bot. You can lay into it. Like,
yeah,
you can really say, this is dumb. You need to rethink all of the things that you just wrote to me. This is not on base at all. Be like, try again. And it'll try again, and it'll be better.
Aaron, can you upload? So what do you do if you're just starting from images? I have so many pictures, and you might have lots of images from production photos and events. If you do a lot of programming, you might have tons of images. Sometimes you've got all of this content and you're like, it's just sitting there and I need to know what to do with it. Right. So we have this great picture. Aaron, can you pull up show them that glorious picture, and then we'll upload it. It's such a beautiful picture. We could do that one. There's one of the kids when they were, that one. This picture popped up and I almost want to cry every time I see it, because I know these kids now and I know the experience that they had, and I saw their final performance, and this was a really special group for us. Just the connections between them was amazing. So I have this picture and I'm like, I am so tired. I am total writer's block. I need some inspiration. So we upload the picture and I just asked it, what message does this photo convey? And I've already fed in my mission, vision, values, right? I've already given it that. So it's going to reflect that, right? And then I might ask it, how can I use this? What's the best place for me to use this in my year-end campaign? Yeah, that's great too. I love that one. You can use that one. I love it. Yeah. Where in the campaign could this image have the most impact in telling our story? Awesome. So it's telling me exactly at hitting the points. Sometimes I'll write my content and pick a photo and go, oh, is that the right photo? And I'll upload the content in its current form, all, approved and edited, and say, hey, here's my final content. Does this picture align with it? And it will tell me whether or not it does. Or I'll ask it we have the inclusive bot. I'll ask it, is this picture, is there anything I should be concerned about in this picture? I did one with a shot from Richard III that I loved. It was such a cool picture. And then it came back and it said, here are your mission, vision, values, and the photo that you just picked to go with this press release doesn't do these things. It's too dark. The lighting doesn't allow you to show any sort of representation on your stage. The lighting doesn't, it feels a little powerful. It feels a really high end. This photo is so good that it might exclude some audience members, right? You might want to, and I'm like, how do I overcome that? I want the high quality yet. And I asked the question and it said, pair this with one of you and a picture of your programming or a picture of the audience, a picture of engagement and connection, so that you've got both dual aspects, because you're more than one thing as an organization. So you can ask it questions about the photos that you upload and really, use it. Does that, what does everybody think about using images or using AI to find images or using images to find the words? Does that resonate? Yeah, Alicia.
Yeah, so I'm a novice in this for doing any of this. So all of this is pretty revelatory and the examples are great. It would never occur to me to upload an image. But when you guys were talking about train bots, and the store, the stuff that's already like available, I'm like, oh, I see a Canva bot. I'll experiment with that. So I asked Canva about, like what graphics could I use for a year-end appeal to promote, sustainable, green buildings. And what it did was surprising. It wrote the email. It actually wrote the content. It's like, forget the images. We're going to give you the body of the email. And I'm like, okay, let's start there. So I've been giving it feedback like you guys suggest. But I guess, Mike, I feel like this is a dumb question, but there's no such thing as a dumb question.
Right.
Let's say I end up going back and forth and I'm like, wow, this is a great letter. All right, I could actually use this. And then how do you get this content out of ChatGPT? Because like you even showed a board presentation. And I'm like, okay, it's on the screen, but what do I do? Like manually copy and paste it into a Google Doc? Like, how do you actually interact with it?
Yeah, Erin, can you show all the different variables of how you can get it out? There are quite a few, actually.
Yeah, copy and paste is a tried and true way. There's a button here that says copy, and that'll copy it all. It copies the formatting also, and some programs don't do a good job of doesn't do a good job of capturing that formatting. I think that Google Docs will. No, there's a way to do it, but see it.
Yeah, I always paste
Word will do
special.
it. Yeah, space.
Yeah. Okay.
In Google Docs.
Yeah.
Oops.
If you're pasting, paste special, because it will always help. You might lose some of the formatting, but it actually keeps it cleaner for if you have to put it into something else later.
All right.
Yeah.
That's cool. I don't actually have those icons. And again, I think what I'm learning is there's a distinction between a free account and a paid account. Because all I can do is ask questions. I can't do, you got like little special icons there. I don't have those.
Oh, really? Do you have the share? Can you send it to yourself via email?
Yeah,
Oh.
I have the free version, and I have the copy icons.
You do?
They're usually, they're usually at the very
Oh.
bottom.
You know what? I don't know that this, you know what? Thank you for saying they're usually at the very bottom, because they were at the very bottom.
Awesome. Great.
But you know what's funny? Back to my original question. I'm in the Canva bot and Canva's writing my copy. And I'm like, wait, you're not, I just thought you'd give me help with some graphics. So I guess I could, I guess I'm sort of like, well, then what is the Canva bot doing? I guess it's for me, it was it's funny. It's doing more than I expected, I guess.
Yeah, Canva has really upped their game to compete. And they have added recently a lot more features. And that was actually, Alicia, I don't know if you have our itinerary in front of you, our agenda, but we were moving to Canva now. So that was a perfect transition to talk about Canva. before we jump out of GPT, does anyone have anything they want to touch on before we jump over to Canva and continue exploring how can we use our images and make use of them for our year-end campaigns? You've got your campaign strategy, you've got some language, you've got some content, we've got some images. Now it's how do I align these things? How do I make these images work? You know, have you ever gotten the perfect image and then it has something in it you're like, but I can't use it because of. That's where we'll jump into Canva. Yeah, but you can create images in chat. I see Erin's doing that right now. We actually spent some time right in chat creating some fun. Our daughter picked the theme for Christmas this year. We celebrate Christmas in our household, and it is Castle Kitty Christmas. And so we spent some time creating night cats as night.
Yes, we did.
And so yeah, you can create images. Nonprofit world, we tend to want to use our actual images whenever possible. And but you can, I've often created cartoon images for things. Like I created a funny image about picnics, right? When I want to do something that there really isn't an actual image for. I have done that. But for the most part, I try in the nonprofit world to use images. So we're going to actually play a little bit in Canva. Do you know that you can upload images you have into Canva? Everyone know where to do that in Canva? I don't know if we have some, experienced Canva users versus not. So you go into uploads and then you can come up here and upload files and pull anything off of your computer and upload whatever images you want. Erin, I'm going to hand it over to you to run with a little bit. Yeah? Because now the Adobe, want to talk a little bit like Adobe Photoshop versus using Canva?
Sure. I want to make sure we're conscious of time. What time are we shooting for?
This is good. If we hit this, I think we're right on track.
Yeah, great. Adobe has its own hat in the AI game, and they have some tools like generative fill where you can select an area of an image and have it draw in things. Yeah, I can't give you an example. I'm on a different computer than I'm normally on, so
yeah. Well, and Adobe requires you to have the suite. It requires you to pay for the product, and it's a little not as intuitive.
Yeah. So Canva has some great features. So here's a good picture here to start with, and one of the features here is a background remover, and it's really, I mean, it does a good job of just very quickly getting rid of what's in the background.
Yeah.
So
to find the background remover, I'm sorry to interrupt you, Erin. If you click on the picture itself and click edit picture, it will open up the menu of the different things, and it's called BG remover, and that's background remover.
Yeah, I think they're in the middle of transitioning between two interfaces.
Yeah.
And I think I've got the newer interface. So when I click on an image, I have an additional bar that has some of the edit commands already available to it. Otherwise, it's in the top bar, and you hit edit. There's like a bar up here that says edit image, and it gives you similar options. Right. So, Alsan, we were saying, help me through this. I'm
sure, you got it. So if you needed to put in a picture, sometimes you'll be working on a newsletter and you've got a volunteer or a donor or a board member you want to feature, but their background just doesn't work. So you remove their background, and then you can actually paste just the figure in and use just the figure. But what if you're updating, you need to update, you want to feature some program staff, right? But you want all the pictures to be consistent. So you want to add a background to it. You can add a background. You can take away what's there and you can add it. You can create consistency. You can create something fun and interesting. I like to add cartoon backgrounds to real photos, which is if we're trying to grow our younger audience, a lot of the time that will be appealing. When I post that, it gets more response from a younger audience. So you can pick a background. Say, let's put her in the mountains. Let's put her in, where do you want to put her? Let's put her, yeah. So you can grab the picture and then layer it. And now suddenly you've changed the background of your photo. So you can customize that for whatever you need to do in your year-end work. Be it website, be it. Does anyone playing around, anyone practicing with one of your images? Oh, you're very welcome, Giselle. Very welcome. All right, you can also edit a photo. So say, yeah, you change the coloring, the tone.
Yeah.
Say you have an image that is the perfect image that captures your program, but oh man, if that arm weren't in the front, or I hate that that backpack is there. Maybe there's something in the image you don't want. So there's a feature called grab.
Yeah.
Go to the grab, magic grab. I use click I do not have good dexterity. Aaron can make a mouse do anything. I cannot. So go in and see, he can use the brush and have much more specificity. I can only click, which doesn't allow me to separate those two items. So the hand and the person behind them is stuck together. But Aaron has really great dexterity with his mouse and can use the brush feature and grab it and take that arm out of there.
I'm not sure what it's going to do to her face. Oh, not bad.
Yeah, not bad.
Not bad.
You can move the backpack. So you click on magic grab. And then the backpack, I had to do it in multiple pieces. So you click on each piece of the backpack. You have to wait till it finishes, by the way. And then you grab it and you can move the backpack out or move it to another person or pass it along or just get rid of it. So you can use Canva to take photos that you didn't think were usable and make them usable. Because sometimes you get really great shots that you just can't make use of. So the AI in Canva is so easy. You can magic erase. Aaron did that with the arm. You can text grab. I want to show how you can grab the text. And earlier I was playing around and I actually took text and made it curved so I could put it in something that was, I took a picture and put the picture in a circle, but the text didn't work in that circle. So grabbed the text and then changed the arc of the text from a straight line to a curve to fit how I was presenting the image. So you can grab that text and then you can play around with it. You can do all sorts of fun stuff with it. See, curve it, straighten it. You can change the angle of that curve, move it around a little bit, make it smaller so it shows up better on the image. If you want to reuse that somewhere, you can grab the text, even though the text is actually in the image itself.
So it found a font that was similar to the letters so that you could, if you wanted to, change what the banner says. Ethically, I don't think that this is a very good example to change the message.
Don't change the message, but if you wanted to, you could.
If you had a picture of something else, like a person holding a billboard, and you wanted to make it different than what it is, that would be fine.
Yeah. And then often I'll use Canva for inspiration. So I'll go to, can you go over to Magic Write?
Mm-hmm.
So down, I'm not sure. Yeah, this little, see that cute little icon? Go to Magic Write. And sometimes I just need an idea. I'm like, I need centerpieces for an event, but I need them to really fall in line with the purpose of the event and the messaging we're trying to get across. So, I'll write a little bit about what the event is. Tapestry, it's about weaving our stories to create community, and ask it to give me generate images for just inspiration to say, okay, what can I do with that? And these aren't to be used anywhere, but I could bring them to a graphic designer if it creates something interesting. Right? So insert the recommendations and then ask it to make an image.
Yeah, wait. Where'd that go?
Yeah, why did it go away?
Yeah, wait, what?
If you go up to
My brain's erroring This interface is different than yours, and
It is different than my interface.
yeah, it was like yours, like just before this call. So I'm looking at this going, all right, wait a minute.
Go up to design. Actually, go to design. So I go to uploads. Over to the left. Uploads to the left. So in the menu to the left, uploads. It should allow you to make things there too. Elements. All right, try elements. Why is your menu different than mine?
Yeah,
Sorry,
right.
people, our menu has changed and it's generate your own. There you go. You can put the text that it gave you there and ask it to give you some inspiration photos. Sorry. Clearly Canva is in the middle of a transition here and their menus.
I lost that text that you spoke
All right,
about.
so create a centerpiece for the tapestry. Yeah, that's a really great idea, Alicia. Really great idea. Centerpieces for an event called Tapestry that's centered on weaving stories to create community.
Say that all again, I'm sorry.
Weaving stories to create community.
Let's see. So I want it to be
a
photo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If it were a different subject, maybe I'd want it to be dreamy. Maybe I'd want a cartoon, right? Just to be if it's something silly, but just to see what ideas it throws down and are any of them valid. Often they aren't, but more often it gives me great ideas. It's like shopping Pinterest, but so specific. Can you make any of those bigger so we can actually see? Yeah. Okay, that's interesting. Plants. Cool.
Fancy.
Yeah, super fancy. What's that really bright one? I mean, that goes along with, yeah, so that's a little brighter. There's more fabrics, there's more textures. So it's showing me a table that kind of reflects the theme a little bit more. So it's more of an idea generator. You can create a mood board. You can create a vision board that if you want to go to your team, if you have a graphic designer that you hire, if you have someone on staff, you can kind of create some images and then give that to your designer to explore and see how they might use that as inspiration. Did anyone play a little bit in Canva while we were talking just to see if what might work for you, edit some photos or make something work?
And Monica had a question in the chat about how can we reflect changes and keep legal copyright concerns with using someone else's photo.
Well,
that's a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Every photo that we use is either Creative Commons or we've paid for licensing for it. So don't change a photo if it's not yours or if it's not in the Creative Commons. I just want to know how, if you Google a photo, to look and see if it's a Creative Commons license that you can use. Aaron, can you jump over to Google and show everybody how to find that? So I use Unsplash. It's free. You can get photos there. It's limited. It doesn't really serve nonprofits well. Someday I'm going to create a photo bank for nonprofit organizations that actually reflects the work we do. But you can find photos there if you don't have photos and need them that you can use. And it's nice if you reference the photographer, but you don't have to. I often do, but you don't have to. I have edited some of them, but only minor things where if there's something in the image that doesn't serve, and then it's okay because I have license to do that. You can't sell something with the edited image, right? That would be an infringement. But you can use those because they're licensed. So there's Unsplash, and then the Google, if you're searching for images on Google, pictures of community events. And then click images. Yeah, you're in images. Now you go to tools and then usage rights, Creative Commons licenses. These are the images if you want to pull something from online and not use a catalog that don't require a license to use them in your print, but I would not spend a lot of time editing them. I've done things where I've taken a piece of an image. So like there was a crowd sitting backwards, and we needed that crowd, so we pulled that piece out. And we actually generated a new image based on it, but not take the whole picture and claim it as our own, right? So you have to be very careful about using things that have rights, and again, really use your library of material. And if you don't have a robust library yet, then use those resources. So use Unsplash and use Google Creative Commons licenses. Cool. I want to get to, we've been spent a little time on images, but I do want to get to some appeal options for you, back to GPT. So you have that original, the appeal that you did earlier in the year. And I just want to give you a couple of ways to use that for your year-end campaign in segmenting your audiences. So you can upload that appeal letter and say, I want to write to the donors who've already given this year, but I want to ask them for a second gift for year end. I would like them to consider a second gift. And you can give that prompt, upload the previous letter, and ask it to write a letter to ask donors to consider a second gift for year end, and have it build upon and complement the last appeal letter that they received. And I will often put the thank you letter in too. So here was the appeal that they responded to. Here's the acknowledgement I sent them. And now I'm asking it to build me a new letter that is for donors who already gave, asking for a second gift. And so that will generate some text for you. You can do that for, let's see, donors who've already given. You can do it for a board of directors appeal. Grab your spring appeal and ask it to customize a new letter for year end that is specific to board members who haven't yet given. You can do that for all your acknowledgement letters, right? You get your appeal, it's done, you're like, yes. Plug in that letter and say, write an acknowledgement letter that aligns with the content of that appeal. So they, the donor is getting something with a consistency of messaging and a consistency of voice, and it's just easing your workload at adapting it. It'll give you a narrative. You can grab it and say, is this what I want to say? Sometimes I'll look at it and go, that's not the tone that we use. Give me something warmer. Give me something that's less formal, and you can address the tone as you're going, but you can use your existing content to write new content. I've taken entire social media campaigns, plugged it in from the previous year and said, can you update it with these themes? Update this campaign from last year with the themes of this year. And it will spit out all new content based on the new themes. And I'm not recreating the wheel. So it's still grounded in language that's based in our mission, that's based on our purpose. It's very much our language and our voice, or my client's language and their client's voice. And it's expediting the work and inspiring and creating. If you have a small shop, which I don't think I had anyone say, I have a huge staff of 10 people, right? That's not real for most of us. And this allows you to create some efficiency and expediency in your work so that you can spend time connecting with people versus writing letters and editing. Editing takes a long time. Writing takes a long time. So, and the other thing that Erin and I use, we talked a little earlier, and we'll just briefly touch on it, is you can also do this with scripts. All right. So if this is the appeal that's going out, if this is what my newsletter said, if this is what the latest campaign is talking about, how do I ask GPT to create a script for, I need a script for my board members when there's a big event coming up and I know 5 of them are going. I'm going to give them scripts to have some language to talk about the organization while they're out acting as an advocate. They need those tools, right? Or they're making phone calls for us. Let me do a quick script that's based and grounded in the content we've already written. So again, consistency in what you're messaging and a nice arc, but also really easily creating a script that works for people. Tone or voice of a specific board member. You can do an phone outreach for a year-end solicitation or year-end stewardship calls. You can create those scripts. Again, Erin writes those for clarity. How can I articulate what I want to say given the way my brain works? And I use them for efficiency. So I say, how do I actually have to simplify my language most of the time. I'm very loquacious and I use a crazy language, and it doesn't always translate when you're working on appeals. It's lovely language, but it doesn't inspire action. So I often am asking my GPT to help me there. So, we've only got a few minutes left, and I wanted to just touch base with everyone and see if you have any burning questions. There's a really great article. I want you to double check it. Erin, can you grab the SSIR article that came out? I think it was just last week, maybe even, or very recently within the last month. There's an SSIR article about how nonprofits are using AI. It's a great article. I love the visual in it that really articulates. They hinted that there's going to be a follow-up article to this, so we'll keep an eye out for it and share it when it comes out. Highly recommend reading this because it talks about how to use it, how different organizations are using it, and it might give you some inspiration. I love that. He's grabbing the article, summarize the article, and break down into let's see, clarification, expediting work. Thank you, Erin. So what are, as we're looking at that quickly, Erin's, I love that you did that, and we can get a nice summary of it. That's great. Thank you. Any questions, any ideas? Or better yet, Erin and I talked about, we're curious, what's one thing that you discovered today that you will walk away and say, I am absolutely doing this, or something you learned, or something you're going to try, or you're going to play around with? Why don't we, Erin, can you go back to the gallery and so we can all see?
Say that again. What gallery?
Just the view as in a gallery mode, so we can see everybody. You should stop sharing your screen. I'm sorry, I'm asking that in the wrong. See, this is what we talk about and making sure there's clarity. Go back to the gallery. He's like, well, I don't know what. I should have said, can you close your share screen?
It's like, I don't have the gallery open.
What are you talking about? There's no gallery over here. What's one thing that you'll walk away with and say, well, I can employ this into my year-end strategy?
I'll go first. I think one of the easy things for everybody is we probably have all sent out in beginning of the year ask letter, and I hadn't thought to ask ChatGPT to wrap it up and do a year-end letter, or to do a second letter to people that have already given based on the first letter. So it's something simple.
Yeah, great. What else?
Allison, so this is my very first time using ChatGPT, and when I look at it, like I can see on the left-hand side, you have all the different things that you've asked. Is there a way to save it? Should I be saving things so that it's learning about you as you go, so that you can go back, or how does that work?
Erin, does it auto save? I have mine set to just
If you're
save.
logged in, then all of your conversations automatically save, and it starts.
Okay.
It learns based on what you tell it. So the default ChatGPT gets better and better and better and better and better based on what you tell it about you.
Okay, so I don't have
Mine
to do
uses-
anything, it's already doing it.
Yes. Yep. And I delete things. If I was trying something and testing, I delete that chat afterward because I don't want it fueling. Sometimes I'll ask it things like, I don't want you to feed that into training how to talk in my voice because that's not my voice. So I'll delete those. But generally I leave everything. And it's great because you just start to get a language and it recognizes the language that I use. So it's giving me things in my own voice already.
Right.
And I also, this is a quick hint, top secret. This is a top secret weapon that I have. Crystal knows you have to pay for it. It is a subscription, but it works with LinkedIn and it gives you a profile. If someone has a LinkedIn profile, it will give you a personality profile of that person. So I actually go through all my major donors, all my coworkers, all my board members, anyone I'm writing to, I grab their profile and I upload it if I'm writing to them and say, write this letter. If I'm writing for them, the board chair, write this letter in their voice. So the editing process, it's like one review versus the 12 back and forths of nuances and getting their voice and capturing it. I can use their personality profile to capture language, and they're usually pretty accurate. And sometimes I'll put it in as my own. Here's my personality profile. Make sure the language reflects that. So that's a great tool. What else? What else are people going to use? We've just got a few more minutes. I want to be aware of time, but I'd love to hear what you're planning. Yeah, Monica.
I have played around with AI quite a bit. I teach at a university, so we've done workshops on how to ethically use AI and how not to. So I learned about the URL that you can stick that right in there and it'll grab that as well. I didn't have to type it all through or write as much on my own. So I appreciate those shortcuts. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. It makes a difference, right? It's amazing what a difference it makes. What else? Yeah, Anne.
I would say that, I mean, even more so than this being about the year-end appeal, for me today, it's helped demystify and also that feeling of cheating. Which I think a lot of us grapple with is, is it cheating? But when I sit here with, our tiny development office and the amount of time it takes for us to do all of these things, I'm willing to now say it's not cheating, it's just being smart and time efficient. So I want to thank you for providing me that viewpoint, which I have been like, trying to figure out. So thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. It's great. Yeah, we reinforce that. That's what we do in our world. We reinforce that. Great. What else? Joanne, you have anything? Or Gary?
I think I hadn't thought about building on what I had just done. Like, oh, now that I have this, now give me a script, like using the same kind of language, so just building in the same thing to get more and more tools. And then the templates were great too, like getting to the point of getting templates.
Yeah. The building is great because I'll start with an appeal and then I'll ask it to do all my social media in all different channels. And then I'll ask it to do all my emails. And you can create and go into your Meta Planner or whatever, social media manager you're using and plug it all in, find all your images and be like, I'm done for the quarter. Cool. Right. It will stop. It will poop out on you. Just as a warning, if you're asking it to do too long a time frame, thanks, Doug. We'll see you. If you ask it for too long, it'll give you a week and be like, and then moving forward, you can do this. And then I just tell it, give me another week. Give me through the end of October. And it'll just keep adding on to it. But it will stop when it says, oh, you're asking me to do the heavy lift. Yes, I am. We're going to keep going. And I just keep asking it. So be prepared if it does stop after 1 week. You're like, I told you to do through year end. Just ask it again. It'll give you more. It'll keep building. Cool. Gary.
Yeah, so this give me an opportunity to get over my learning curve. I'm new to this, and I wouldn't even call myself a novice. So, so this is fantastic, and now I will continue to educate myself around this. It's something that someone said earlier. Well, actually, I'm just going to say that AI is going to increase; it's not going to decrease. And so it's here with us for I don't know. For forever, I want to say, in some form or fashion. So here we go.
Yeah. Aaron and I were talking earlier. The Wall Street Journal had a great article that I think I mentioned it, where they were talking about AI, the initial thought that it would be this entity, this thing, this product, and it's really a component of the things we already use. So it sort of aligns with the word processor, right? You use, remember, typewriter to word processor. I had a brother word processor. I'll age myself right now. My freshman year of college, I brought my brother word processor into my little apartment and set it down on my little desk. And now the whole thing is in your phone, right? Like it just automatically does it. So that where AI is going, it's just going to be part of the ecosystem and more uses for it. So yeah, absolutely. Alicia, what are you going to walk away? What are you going to use?
Well, I am definitely a novice, and I've only used AI to like answer, I don't know, like one-off questions. It never occurred to me that I could put in samples of like written correspondence or emails, even thank you emails, and ask it to, and ask it to, like you were saying, prompt it to like include, update it or include different elements. I mean, honestly, that's pretty groundbreaking because I feel like I am the only person in our organization who really writes or creates any content. I mean, we do have someone who helps with social media, so thankfully I'm not a solitary soldier on that front, but I had no idea I could use AI for this. So I think that just as a baseline is
Cool.
pretty exciting.
Yeah, you know what
So-
I'm using for, yeah, we'll reinforce that for sure. And the something that just sort of echoes that I've been doing, I take every thank you letter I write, even if it's a personal note, and I'll even snap a picture of the personal note so I don't have to rewrite it or type it, and upload it into my donor's record so that when I'm writing to them again, I can actually go back, export and pull that note out, put it in GBT and say, and say, what have I already covered? And maybe I'll put the last 4 messages that I've written to that person. And I make sure that I'm always growing and deepening and not constantly just saying the same words over and over. When you have a portfolio of a couple hundred donors that you write to because you're the only one who does it, the donor could feel that this feels inauthentic because you don't realize you're replicating what you're saying to them in a way that it doesn't feel authentic. This allows you to really grow and look at what you've already done and then keep building on it and keep building on it and keep deepening it and keep adding more meaning into those exchanges that you do have. So I highly recommend upload whatever you can into your donor record so it's there, because then you can take that existing work and build on it versus always starting from scratch. Plus, you're building on it intelligently. You're building on it strategically. Allison, what's your one takeaway?
Well, it seems like such a basic one, but I didn't know where to find images in the Creative Commons. I didn't know about the site that you shared, and I didn't know about the searches within Google, which is wonderful. And I was thinking about all the different things I volunteer for at my kids' school and will feel much better using those. So thank you for that tip.
Yeah, it's so helpful when you can just jump in and search by, I only want to look at Creative Commons licenses, and then you're safe. You're using images that you're not going to get a cease and desist letter, and no one's going to come after you. And again, Monica, and you work in academia, so there are, at some point, maybe we'll have an ethics conversation way down the road. This is more about hands-on practical, but there are differences. It's all about context. So the word that comes to mind for me the most, and I think Erin has been huge in teaching me this, is it's about context. It's about, how am I using this? Do I need to cite it? It depends on if you're in academia, yeah, if you pulled something, you may need to say, assisted with AI, right? Or, in some place, you don't need it at all. I think it really depends on the context and how you're using it. So just think always, both what you're trying to generate, you need the context to generate something that's actually going to work for you. And what context are you generating it in? And how do you need to own what's yours and what isn't? You can't take an image. I think you can use art if you really identify where you added and where you added AI and where you altered the original. Yeah. Oh, bye, Elaine. So yeah. Any other questions, any other thoughts? Erin, do you have anything you want to share before we close out? It's right at 1:30. Look at us covering all the content.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't get into like data analysis or anything like that. We have a whole other talk that we could give on. She had said she takes a picture of the thing that she typed up. It can read text out of an image. You can take a screenshot of Excel and tell it to graph the data. Like it is very robust in its ability to read what's inside of an image.
It will read data visualizations too. Like I upload my data visualizations and say, write a header from I have to do this annual report, write a header for this data visualization, or write a description for this data visualization. And
tell me what this graph is illustrating.
Hmm.
And it'll do it.
And you can check your clarity, right? So if you build a data visualization, you can put, I do that all the time. I will put something in and say, is this clear, or does this actually represent what I'm trying to do? Does this actually align with this? And it tells you outright, no, here's some recommendations. Or yeah, this is great. It's very balanced. It likes to give you the good points first. It's very well trained in parenting, I think. You did all of these things right, and here's how you can improve, right? Yeah, it's great.
Hmm.
Well, we meet again in December. We have another session, so maybe we want to get into some of that data analysis. It'd be a lot of fun. If you have other thoughts or questions as you're dabbling and starting to use AI more and more, send them to us, because we want to know how you're doing, and we want to be able to incorporate your questions into our next session. So
And if you
stay in
discover
touch.
something cool, send it over, because we like to geek out about that stuff. So if you find something really cool, just email us, because we'll be like, ooh. We do like to geek out. Sorry to cut you off.
No, it's perfect. I'm going to send out the recording and some of the resources. I grabbed them from the chat. So you'll have it all in one place, and you'll have Erin's email and Alice Ann's email. So stay in touch, keep playing, have fun.
Thanks,
See you next
everybody.
time.
Thanks
Everyone
for
take
playing.
care.
Bye.
Bye now.
Bye. Bye-bye. See ya.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have fun.